Well, how are you, beloved? I know that the Lord is speaking deeply inside you through this series, because it's aligning us with His purpose, His direction. He's still into saving, healing, because it's He sent Jesus, and then Jesus said that as the Father sent Him, He's sending us. The Father sent Him with a mission. Jesus sent us with a mission. So it's so precious, so important to know that. I believe you enjoy going through the Gospel of Mark. I like Mark. It's very precise. Doesn't get into too many details, and it goes to the point. And just go through the Gospels. You can read in parallel. You can study. So we are in chapter 3 now, Mark, and Jesus entered the synagogue again, and then there was a man who had a withered hand. It's not really sure what kind of sickness that was, but obviously he could not use that hand. Okay. So they watched him closely. Who? Everyone. The friends and the enemies. What do you think? It's watching closely. Whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. Okay? And he said to the man who had a withered hand, "Step forward." Then he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" Interesting how he presents good and evil. Do you see that? So he takes them from their element, from their place, because they were thinking from the tree of knowledge. That's their thinking. But he comes from the tree of life. So he comes with truth. So of course, they could not answer. You know, if you try to debate from the tree of knowledge, that's always going to be a debate and an answer. But if you come from truth, they'll be silent. Because he was talking truth from another realm, from tree of life. But they kept silent, and when he had looked around at them with anger, see, he did that too. Look at them with anger, being grieved by the hardness of their hearts. He said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored as whole as the other. So, yes, we are learning how to speak healing, how to heal, how to cast demons. But how do you speak healing? How do you bring healing when all eyes are on you? You know, maybe it's a big family and you go there, and here is maybe one of their kids with problems. You know, are you gonna just avoid? Are you gonna say, well, parents don't believe, so I'm not gonna do it? Obviously, Jesus was in an environment where people did not believe. Okay? It's obvious. I mean, not just they didn't believe, but they hated him. They were enemies of him, right? So absolutely stopping for that. It didn't stop him. So how do you do that? So again, something my story. I remember my first healing experience I had was in a Baptist church. I think in some other series I told you about how I was raised and I had the encounter with Jesus and started to read the New Testament. I saw that Jesus was casting demons and healing sicknesses. And so yes, one evening I was preaching. It was my turn in a Baptist church, and I said, why not? Jesus was doing it. I'm going to do it. So I said, in the name of Jesus, I command any spirit of sickness to come out of these people. In a Baptist church. Okay. So I had at least a couple of cases. People came and told me what happened to them. And one of them was a sister, an older sister. And she did have a problem with the hand. I don't remember which hand. And I cannot tell you exactly the, what was the problem. But she said she couldn't heal. She couldn't feel and she couldn't use that hand. Okay, so I was thinking maybe similar. So she said that when I said that in the name of Jesus, spirit sickness to leave, she felt like a heat, and her hand got healed. So, wow, yeah, for a 19-year-old, that's a big thing, right? So she was crying of happiness. She came to tell me right after that. But the Pharisees did not like it. So the following week, interesting, the Pharisees of the church paid a visit to our sister. And they tried to work on her to say, I don't think you were sick. Maybe you slept on that hand the night before. Maybe there was no problem. And now you just feel better. When probably she told them that was, she went to the doctor and there was a big issue, they tried to convince her that she was never healed. God doesn't do this type of stuff. So when they start to take me to show me that I do things against the Bible and that's not the way you pray in church or something, they mention that actually she never got healed. They talked to her, and no, it didn't happen. She just had an impression. So they silenced her. So yeah, it was very hard. It's still very hard. Invited to preach in some very conservative, old wine type of churches. It's difficult. Even in a very charismatic big church here, one time I visited because I promised a friend I'm going to go there. And they were praying for healings, people in general. Somebody was on the microphone. So the Lord showed me two people in that audience that were going to be healed. So I almost jumped out to get the microphone. So then all this old experience, and I'm thinking, oh man, I will disturb the whole thing. So I didn't. And they kind of covered it up and closed, and that was it. So I kind of said I either have the boldness to go and get the microphone, or I would rather just not visit those places. Because then you fight with, the Lord want to heal these people, what's happening, how come these people don't see that, and they just don't. So you start judging the establishment, and so yeah, it's last time I went there. So how do you do it? How do you pray? Yeah, that's a good question, right? So why did he do it during Sabbath? Maybe because he went to the synagogue and they would meet during the Sabbath, right? So it makes sense. Maybe because that man with a problem would come to synagogue, would come to the place on a Sabbath day, maybe, would not come another day. But it really seemed that Jesus wanted to challenge the rules. Okay. So why Sabbath? Why in that circumstance? I do believe that truth can be offensive sometimes. Jesus had a mission and he had to do it. I do believe that what I prayed that evening in the Baptist church was truth. And yeah, it raised a bunch of hell everywhere. It was so hard for a while. But it was truth. I would preach the same today because it's truth. So Jesus had to do it because it was the truth. Is the truth offensive? Yeah. He came from the truth, from the tree of life, speaking truth into the realm of the tree of knowledge. Now today it's maybe as Christianity, it's so split. It's like more conservatives are more conservative and really hate and talk so bad about the other ones, the charismatics and open, words of faith and apostolic. They're so much into that and talk bad about these ones, right? So I remember when I went to Brazil recently, and if you are listening from there, you probably know this. There was a big organization split. And one of the reasons that huge organization split was that one of the leaders, maybe more of the leaders, they believed in deliverance, healing, and they were doing it successfully. So then the big leaders said, no, you challenge our authority. So they kicked that person out. So that's a split. There were hundreds and hundreds of people very hurt by that, especially the young people. Yeah. So there was such a hunger when I was there, because I went there with truth. I didn't go there to fight any doctrines and prove anything. I went there from the tree of life with truth. And truth made lots of people free. So, how do we do it? When Pharisees are watching us, friends need us, people are hurting, how do we do it? We have to stay consistent with the truth. We have to stay faithful, uncompromised to the truth. And this is what I want to do. You too, right?